Hi, everybody. This is SAAD. As many of you know, I have been a staunch critic of the DIE religion, diversity, inclusion, and equity, which is spreading like wildfire across universities in particular, but more generally across all sorts of organizations. One of the problems with the DIE religion, one of many problems, is that it confuses equality of opportunities with equality of outcomes. And in doing so, it negates the idea that people should be judged based on their individual merits and individual flaws. So the notion of individual dignity is lost because you're trying to pursue some ethos of equality across particular groups. In any case, it can get to be quite grinding to constantly have to fight all of these things, especially within the ecosystem of academia, the one that I reside in. But what is oftentimes quite invigorating to me is the endless email messages that I receive from students, from professors, from parents of students who share with me their idiosyncratic realities, and I'm humbled by the fact that many of them have been very positively influenced by my work. So what I'm going to do next is read you an email that I received from one such individual who is completely bewildered by the DIE realities that person is facing at his or her university. I asked the person in question if I could read the email, and they were more than happy to say yes, except that I'm, of course, withdrawing their name. Well, I say of course. In a good world, no one would be afraid to share their identity, because last I checked, we don't live in North Korea or communist China. But this is the world we now live in, where students are afraid to identify themselves because they are critical of a tenet at their university. This is very real. I receive endless such evidence on a daily basis. But in any case, I won't mention the person's name. I won't mention which school they go to and the nationality, because in the email the person mentions it. Otherwise, I'll read the email verbatim. So here we go. Dear Professor Saad, I hope this email finds you well. I just wanted to write this email to express my sincere gratitude for both your academic and social expression that truly were pivotal in restoring my faith in the greatness of hallmark Western values such as reason, free speech, and moralistic integrity. Unfortunately, as much as I tried to look, I couldn't find those values in a prestigious university. I will withdraw or redact that person's nationality I won't mention the name of the school, but it's a prestigious school system. I first noticed the oddness of how universities were run during my first quarter when I took an anthropology class titled Debating Multiculturalism. It was a university DIE requirement. I love the fact that DIE is spreading as an acronym. That class taught me that asking an Asian person, "Where are you from?" was racist. Miley Cyrus's twerking was a form of cultural appropriation, and that giving your bus seat to a lady was sexist. Well, of course, if you are truly sexist to a woman, you're a bigot. If you are galant and chivalrous to a woman, you're a bigot. All roads lead to bigotry, as I explain in my forthcoming book. I was gobsmacked at the absurdity of what professors taught to be true. This was especially considering that in reality these theories would have never naturally have crossed my mind without, quote, learning about them. My naivete as a freshman, however, led me to taking what I had been taught as truth. It wasn't until I was studying with a friend for a math midterm that I affirmed my delusion. I had solved one of the difficult questions on a past differential equations midterm after a series of failed attempts. "Oh my God," the name of the person, "you are a genie!" Exclamation point, my friend exclaimed in delight. 2 minutes later, he told me, quote, "I realized what I said was offensive and I am sorry," close quote. Utterly confused, I asked what exactly he meant. He then went on to explain that genies were associated with Middle Eastern culture and what he said was insensitive. The person in question comes from a, Middle Eastern country. At that very moment, I had wished that he would have rather uttered a genuinely offensive racial slur. I had realized then on that it would be really difficult to develop meaningful relationships, whether with students or professors, especially those who were extremely wary of coming off as offensive as someone asking an Asian person about their origins. I grew more and more frustrated when I wouldn't receive meaningful criticism for my work or receive hard advice from my superiors. I still think that type of treatment is the most racially biased experience I have ever gone through. Whether it is a faculty member, a student, or a TA, by not giving me the respect to hold me to the same standard as they do to my, quote, Aryan overloads, quote, close quote. They are effectively condemning me to mediocrity. What a fantastic young person. Sure, I've had many positive, reassuring experiences. However, they would never outweigh the negative experiences propagated by chauvinistic zealots. And trust me, I know a zealot when I see one. And trust me, I know the country that this person comes from. Oh boy. Being introduced to you was truly a blessing. I've learned a great deal from you, Professor SAAD. You stress upon standing up to intellectual injustices, and I'm proud to say that I'm now outspoken against them. I do have one important question. Being a seasoned academic, do you have any advice with navigating the absurdities of the current state of affairs in US/Canadian universities? By the way, your Lebanese wit transcends Lebanon itself. Looking forward to hearing from you. All the best. Regards. And then the person signs their name. That person who wrote me has more integrity in their young body than all of the zealots and bigots that run our academic institutions. That person saying, wait a second, I don't want to be coddled. I want to be judged based on my unique merits and my unique flaws. This is what every single person living in a free society should aspire to. That person comes from a very repressive country, and they come to the United States to escape such zealotry, such bigotry. And the ones who are promulgating the religion are the worst of the worst, because they do so under the guise of being progressive, when in reality they are anything but progressive. Have a good day, everybody. Actually, have a good week, since we are Monday. Cheers.